In 2017, northern Changbai hot springs stopped gushing, releasing silver liquid that stayed unfrozen at -20 degrees. A research team went missing after entering the area to investigate. 7 days later, only the team leader returned. The camera clutched in his hand recorded how they discovered something deep inside Changbai Mountain that was imitating humans. November 23, 2017. Sensors at Changbai Mountain's North Slope Hot Spring Monitoring Station all along. Chief Zhao stared at the screen, suspecting a glitch. 7 spring vents fell from 62 degrees Celsius to -17 degrees Celsius in 4 minutes, still dropping. But the surveillance footage showed the spring water was still flowing, unfrozen. Physically impossible. Professor Chen donned glasses. At -17 degrees Celsius, it still won't freeze unless it isn't water. In protective suits, they reached the nearest number 3 spring. Silvery gray fluid surged from the vent, snaking over snow like something alive, giving off a metallic, ozone-like smell. Professor Chen shook a sample bottle. The liquid spun slowly inside, forming a tiny vortex. It resisted shielding. Professor Chen's voice sounded distorted through his mask. That afternoon, a provincial research team arrived here. Leader Li Jun, 45, specializes in extreme environment geology. The team had a geophysicist, a fluid dynamics PhD, and 2 guides with 15 years experience. Before they left, Station Chief Xiao pulled Li Jun aside and handed him a rusty amulet. A blurry shamanic totem was carved on it. "Grandpa left this for me. He said Changbai Mountain sleeps. Don't wake it." Li Jun just smiled, then took it. At 9 a.m. on November 24, the research team followed the silver stream towards its source. Deeper in, the strangeness grew clearer. All snow within 3 meters on both sides of the stream had completely melted, exposing black, volcanic rock. The rock's surface was covered in fine, silver crystals, like a layer of frost. Like a metal arch, but lighter, Xiao Liu muttered. "Sampling? And it's actively dodging my tools whenever I get close." By 2 p.m., they found the source. A former hot spring vent in Earth. A 1.5-meter fissure, seemingly bottomless. The silver liquid gushed vigorously from the fissure. Strange patterns were carved on the rock at the fissure's edge. They weren't naturally formed. Professor Chen traced the grooves with a gloved hand. Not human-made. Tool marks clearly show extreme hardness, at least diamond grade here. Guide Lao Wu blurted, "I've seen that pattern." He pulled out his phone, showing a tourist photo from 5 years ago he'd taken there. Background is Tianqi. On the distant hillside, a few blurred stone piles formed similar spiral patterns there. Tourists said it was just a tourist-made pile, so I ignored it. Lao Wu zoomed in photo. But looking now, the arrangement of the stone piles perfectly matches the spiral of this pattern. Li Jun's heart sank. This meant someone had made a mark here 5 years ago. They decided to descend. The inside of the fissure was wider than expected, like a sloping natural shaft. The headlamps revealed that the shaft walls were also covered in silver patterns, layered one on top of another, growing denser the further down they went. After dropping 50 meters, the thermometer held at -23 degrees Celsius, yet the shaft wall felt warm. Xiao Jiang found stranger. Gravimeter shows gravity dips slightly as we descend, only 0.003 less, though theory says otherwise. After descending another 100 meters, a natural cavern appeared ahead. In the cavern's center stood 7 stone pillars, each bound with a skeleton in military green mountaineering old gear from the 70s 80s. The skeletons' postures were strange. They weren't slumped over as if tied up, but stood ramrod straight, their empty eye sockets all staring into the depths of the cavern. "These clothes," old WU's voice trembled. "They belong to the 704 survey team, the one that disappeared in 1978. Li Jun knew this case. In 1978, a 7-member survey team mysteriously vanished on Changbai's North Slope. After 3 months of searching, nothing turned up. The case was closed as an extreme weather death, yet these sea bones are too intact. Inside the damp mountain, they should have rotted or fallen apart 40 years ago. And their standing posture was like they were standing guard. Xiao Liu said what everyone thought. From deep in the cave came soft water sounds. Not silver gurgles, just ordinary running water. Li Jun led the way. After passing through a narrow, natural stone archway, everyone froze. Ahead was a larger underground space, with a pool of water about 10 meters in diameter at its center. The pool was so clear you could see the bottom, where dozens of backpacks, instruments, and even a few old film cameras lay submerged. At the edge of the pool, 7 pairs of hiking boots were neatly arranged. The laces were tied meticulously. Worst of all, across the pool, 7 people sat on the bank. In the same climbing suits as the pillar skeletons outside there, they faced away, formed a circle tight, heads bowed, as if meeting quietly. Li Jun's breath nearly stopped. He slowly raised his flashlight, sweeping them. They cast none at all. Their bodies looked slightly transparent, the rock wall faintly visible behind them. Holograms. Xiao Jiang whispered softly, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Just then, the 7 figures with their backs to them began to slowly turn their heads simultaneously. Their movements were perfectly synchronized, without the slightest deviation. Li Jun's survival instinct took over. Retreat, slowly. They backed into cave, listening, but footsteps sounded beyond stone door. It wasn't one person, but 7 sets of perfectly synchronized footsteps walking towards them. Up, Li Jun roared. The ascent was much faster than the descent, but with every 10 meters they climbed, Li Jun felt that the things below were getting closer. It wasn't footsteps, but a strange resonance, as if the entire mountain was vibrating. At the crevice's first daylight, Lao Wu screamed. Then the rope suddenly snapped apart. He plummeted downward, the beam of his flashlight tumbling within a rapidly shrinking circle of light, until it was finally swallowed by the darkness. The others clawed out of the crack and bolted downhill, never looking back. After running for 2 kilometers, Li Jun glanced back. At the opening of the crevice stood 7 blurry figures, lined up in a row, silently watching them flee. Then 7 figures raised their right hands together, waved, like goodbye, like an invitation to. 7 days later, rescuers found Li Jun unconscious, still breathing, at the mountain's base. Frostbitten, he tight-clutched a camera. Doctors said his temperature once fell to 24 degrees Celsius. For a moment, he was nearly 17 seconds were usable. A wavering flashlight, the rock wall sliding backward fast. Then, the image steadied, aimed into the crack. 7 people stood inside. They were wearing climbing gear from different eras. Army green from the 70s and 80s, windbreakers from the 90s, and even modern professional mountaineering suits. All 7 spoke at once, their voices overlapping, rolling like mountain echoes. In the next 7 years, 7 more will come again. Screen goes black. Li Jun wakes in the hospital, quietly says just one line: the mountain is alive, still learning. Then he was later moved to psych ward. Diagnosis: severe PTSD with delusional features. But 3 months later, Changbai administration got an anonymous letter with a roll of 1978 film. Developed. It was the 704 survey team's last group photo. On back, ink read, "We chose to stay here. 7 guard the mountain. 7-year rotation. Years listed: 1978, 1985, 92, 1999, 2020. For the next 7 years, whose turn will it be?" The letter was dated October 4th, 1978, and 2020 was exactly the next 7-year mark. The administration filed the letter as a prank. But a veteran ranger from the 704 search saw the photocopy and left Changbai Mountain that night. Before leaving, he told his apprentice, "The photo shows extra person." "What?" Team 704 had only seen. The old ranger pointed at the photo's blurry corner shadow. But there were 7 people in the photo. The 7th was wearing clothes that didn't look like they were from our era. The apprentice looked closely. The clothes of the shadow looked a bit like a futuristic silver protective suit. And in the background of the photo, the outline of the mountains vaguely formed a giant spiral pattern. exactly the same as the patterns on the edge of the fissure from 2017. In December 2020, a new vent on Changbai's north slope spewed silver liquid. When the station alarm blared again, the duty tech saw 7 hot spots flash, forming a perfect spiral. He picked up the phone to report it, but heard overlapping voices from the receiver. It was like many people whispering in unison. 7 years are up. Outside the window, the silhouette of the distant mountains seemed to squirm slightly in the moonlight, as if something had turned over under the mountain's skin.